All right, we're back. Dynasty Trades in 5. I'm Clay.
I'm Shane. I'm ready to do this.
I am Scott, and I can't not say this show will not be an elite one.
Nice. We can't pronounce this guy's name either. So we're doing Tua tonight. But first, let's get into a trade. So, would you take Tua, Waddle, or Joe Burrow, and the 112?
Ooh.
Burrow 112. Come on.
Ooh, but Waddle's the wide receiver 5 in DLF ADP, or maybe not. He's like in the top 10 though. Damn, yeah, I'm a lot lower on Tua than I thought. I'm gonna have to take Burrow in I guess whatever wide receiver falls to me at 112.
Scott, how it didn't seem like it was that close for you. What if it were Tua and Waddle or Burrow?
I mean, that's when you're starting to get the leverage right there, where you're not taking the second piece back. Comes down to what can you get from Waddle? Can you get a 23 first and another first on top? Something like that. Then I can understand just from a value perspective doing it. But I think when you're talking about, we've talked about this on other shows, when you're talking about going from the elite tier of quarterbacks, it doesn't have to be the top 2, the top 3. We're talking about, like we talked about on the show the other night, the tier of like 7, however you order them. Like, I don't want to drop as far down as Tua. You're dropping 2 or 3 tiers down to 2. And I know this is a Tua discussion, but we'll get into more. I don't want to go that far down. So now you're getting to a point where you're trying to add, you're wanting to add 2 or 3 pieces to Tua to get up to Burrow. That's just not the type of deal I'd want to look for.
Yeah, that's like Scott saying, like Burrow. I might not think Burrow is top of the charts elite, but he's a hell of a lot closer than Tua Tagovailoa is. I got his name right.
The pronunciation.
Nailed it.
Crushed it.
Nice.
We should just retire. We'll stop the show. Enjoyed it, guys. No, but we'll introduce ourselves a little bit. So we do a few different types of shows. We do individual player profiles, like Tua tonight. We do strategy shows, and we do trade shows. Like we dropped on our last video, and we did a live stream. But yeah, check out the playlist, get lost, do a little bit of binge watching, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you like it, and if we earn your business for the subscribe. So, all right, let's keep going, guys. Yeah, so Tua, are you trying to acquire him at all? I know everybody's, interesting for the right price, but do you like Tua, Scott?
Short answer, no. I think some of the data on Tua basically says that his value is pretty close, I think, to what his ceiling is. And we've talked about this with previous shows. You don't really want to be paying for quarterbacks where their value's milked in and you say, okay, well, he could be a starter for 5 years. Yeah, I don't want to pay for that. I want to pay for potential upside. I want to pay for even a quarterback that's value could go to a point where, even if you don't like Burrow, you have a top 7 quarterback that you can move around for somebody else who's in that tier. You have a lot more options. You can move to Kyler or Sean Watson or somebody else that if things break your way, you have a home run asset and you can get something on top. That's the kind of deal you're working with. You have Burrow. With Tua, it's more of, okay, he's my QB2, he's my QB3. He's still a top 20 quarterback because he's still on a rookie contract. He hasn't been horrible to where he's at risk of literally not having a job in the league. And I think he's right after that tier of like Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, where people see some stability. They see some probably commitment from the franchise to him for another year or 2 while he's still on a rookie deal. But what's his upside? I think that's been my biggest criticism of Tua. I mean, I'm big on quarterback efficiency. He really hasn't shown it in his first couple years. He's been basically league average or worse in every single category. Super low YPA, under 7 both years. I think it's 6.6 for his career. And then he's not really producing with that either. So maybe if they surround him with 3 Jaylen Waddles and they bring back Mike Gesicki and they have a good running game and an offense they can hum, then yeah, I'm interested in Tua a little bit. But I think that just tells the story, right? If I just told you they need to surround him with literally all these elite weapons and he needs them to make plays, it's basically like what San Francisco had with Jimmy Garoppolo, right? You give him Kittle, you give him Deebo Samuel. Yeah, he's going to make some plays, but he's not doing it himself. So as soon as things go badly, he's not going to carry them because he doesn't throw the ball downfield. So I just think his ceiling's limited. He runs a little bit. he might give you a 10%, 12% rushing share, but it's not to the point where he's going to crack QB1 territory based on his legs alone in any given year. So he just has a limited ceiling. I mean, what is he? QB 18, QB 17, and I think his ceiling is QB 13 to 15 in a season.
Right.
There's just not a lot of meat on the bone. So I'm fine getting out for a 23 first if I can get thrown in Teddy Bridgewater. I know Shane doesn't like Teddy Bridgewater, but a placeholder, a guy that could start it.
QB, something.
Yep.
Get one.
If he starts, he can put similar numbers to Tua short term. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I don't even need the placeholder. I'll just trade him for a 2023 first at this point, to be honest with you. And this is a guy that, going into last year, that I was all over. Like, I really thought he was going to take a step forward. Unfortunately, I didn't realize his rookie season was kind of his ceiling. I thought there was going to be more there. There's not more there. This is what he is. Like Scott said, he's a back end, middle of the pack quarterback. And I don't even think he gives you the value of security. Because quite frankly, if Miami isn't good this year, they have no reasons not to move on from him. They have a new head coach. I have no idea if Brian Flores liked him or not, the conflicting reports, but I do know that there's a new head coach there, and new head coaches are not going to tie themselves to a quarterback that can't win for them. Just being 500 isn't good enough. And that kind of feels like his ceiling, like as a starter in the real NFL and in fantasy. So he's not someone I'm especially looking to acquire. If I can add anything to him and move up to Stafford, I would, to be quite honest with you. If I could move TUA, whatever his name is, in a second and get to Stafford, I would do it. I'd even do it for someone, probably have to add a little more for Rodgers, but I might even do that, even if it's just for a 1 year player like Rodgers.
So would you take a Tua or the 102?
Oh, 102. Easy.
Okay, Tua or the 105?
I mean, when you put it that way, I'm always thinking 23 first. I would probably get a 23 first for the 105. So I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that, if Shane's right and he doesn't have job security past this year, and I would agree if they have another season like they did last year where they're under 500 or they're, not threatening for the playoffs, what is the difference between I'd much rather have a guy like Jameis Winston. If he starts more than 3 years, he's far better than Tua. It's just a bet on the job security. So yeah, I think I'd take, at least 2 quarterbacks in this class. I would just bet that I'm going to get 2 quarterbacks in this class that I'd rather have over Tua at least.
Now, Shane, your answer can't be C, none of the above, but who would you rather have, Tua or Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson.
No. Yeah, me too. All right, so Scott, you brought up Jameis, and we talked about trying to tack on something to move up from Tua, but what about Teardown options? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jameis is a good target. The one that comes to mind for me is Ryan Tannehill. I know he's older, but he's a better fantasy producer than Tua. So it's really just the bet against longevity versus job security, like we talked about before. I mean, this is going to be gross. Anyone that follows me knows that I've been very critical of this player, but is there a big difference between Tua and Baker Mayfield? The only difference really is just the scheme of the offense.
Yeah.
Tua's going to run in a much more fast-paced offense and throw it a lot more. But that's it. Skill set wise, I think I'd probably prefer Baker. If you switch places, I think Baker would be better for Tua or better than Tua for fantasy. So, it's kind of just betting that the Browns evolve a little bit, but I don't think that's a bad one. And I think you can maybe get at least a second on top or another, wide receiver 3 type player that can supplement your lineup. So I think that's how you pivot down.
Shane, what are your thoughts generally on pivoting down from Tua?
Yeah, if it's for Jameis Winston or Ryan Tannehill, I'm completely okay with that. But once you start getting into the Baker Mayfields of the world, you're not even trading for starters anymore. You're trading for guys that are just break in case of emergency. The more we talk about Tua, the lower I'm getting on him.
You're adjusting your non-existent rankings, right?
I gotta be honest with you. I think anything 10X, even in the 2022 draft could get Tua from me.
I was about to say 108 might get Tua from you.
Not might, that definitely would.
That would, huh?
Yeah. I'd rather take a shot on Kenny Pickett or Sam Howell.
Yep.
Because again, it's the mystery box of it.
Are we too high on Waddle then? I mean, he's as long as he gets 1 million targets and there's still a lot of meat on the bone with his ADOT and stuff like that, his big playability. So we're not too high on Waddle, huh? Even though we're down on Tua a little bit.
No, Tua, and let me put this out there. He's not a bad quarterback. He's not a bad real life NFL quarterback. He is probably average to slightly above average from what we've seen. And we've seen that can definitely support a wide receiver one. And there's a lot of unrealized potential there with Waddle if they start using him in different ways.
I will say this. I think Waddle is overrated from a standpoint of you don't find a lot of receivers that crack the top 8, top 10 with quarterbacks at Tua's level. So you can sit here and say Waddle's great. Waddle's going to have more downfield targets. Waddle's going to get more targets. He's going to have more yards after the catch, like all this stuff. But you go back to like a guy like DJ Moore. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He can get DJ Moore could have had 200 targets last year. He wouldn't have been a wide receiver one. So I'm not saying Tua is like as bad as Cam Newton or Sam Darnold, but he is at very best neutral when it comes to elevating his weapons. So I do think Waddle at wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, that's more of he's super young, that he may be the next like Hall of Fame receiver, but probably like 90% of the outcomes say Jaylen Waddle's just a pretty good wide receiver 2, maybe a low end wide receiver 1 that's not going to be elevated much more. So I do think it does affect Waddle. I don't want to bet on receivers that are with quarterbacks that are not bringing the offense as a whole up. And that's how I see Tua.
Yeah. And I mean, I get that, but I'm definitely betting on the talent. I'm willing to see, another year of Tua. And if Tua can't do it, then they'll move on and they'll look fine when they get Bryce Young back there.
Well, I think the idea of DJ Moore is you should have sold DJ Moore at wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3 prices. Jaylen Waddle's great. I just don't want to buy in at the price now, because if he repeats what he did last year, he's wide receiver 12 next year, wide receiver 15. He will fall back because we expect 20% more as a sophomore. And when it doesn't happen, then he'll fall back. You buy him next year if you really like him. You don't buy him at wide receiver 5. That makes no sense to me, because we're buying him at the projection because he's 22 or 23. We're not buying him at probably what his reality is.
Yeah, no, you should never be trying to acquire Jaylen Waddle right now. Like it's a lost argument. There's literally no reason to do that. Just like getting DJ Moore when he was the wide receiver 5 was just hearsay. That's not right. Hearsay? Yeah, heresy. There you go.
We got there.
It was hearsay. Whatever. Tua, tag of a
Tua. All right. If you made it this far, thanks as always. And as far as the listener league, so it was kick-ass to see all the engagement in the comments, and got some subscribes and some likes. We are going to announce the winners of the listener league, not on this show, but on our next show, which we'll record here in the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for that. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe if you like this show and you like Shane's pronunciations of things. And yeah, check out the playlist, get lost on the channel. We'll see you soon.